Hello, my friends. Tony Kweki is my name, and as you know already, I have a background in medical practice, and I'm so excited for the first time I bring this live video to talk about some issues that are very important, especially for those that are in marital relationship. If you subscribe to my YouTube angle is Dr. Tony Kweki. Just Google for it. You are going to see all my other videos I've done previously on marriage. Today, I want to talk about something that's so important that if you can master the act of it, you will solve almost 100% issues in your marriage. And that is communication in marriage. Communication is key. If you don't understand the grasp of communication in marriage, you're going to be having conflict upon conflict. You're going to be feeling unhappy from time to time, and you think that your partner or your wife, your husband doesn't love you. They do love you, but because you guys need to understand the concept of communication and being able to work around it, that's how you can really feel the love in marriage. And by so doing, you will experience marital bliss. So welcome to the Exceptional Couples Institute, where we help and monitor couples to live in marital bliss. So today, I want to talk once again on improving your communication as a marriage person. Now, let me give you a background to issues of marriage. We all know that marriage is two persons coming together from different backgrounds, different psychology, different way of life, and they're living under the same roof. It's not an easy job, I can tell you. Again, beyond different background, is also two persons with different psychology, coming together to live as husband and wife. As you should have learned, the female psychology is completely different from the male psychology, and these tend to become a reason of problem in the home. So if you understand the techniques of communication, you'll be able to talk in such a way that your partner or your wife, your husband will feel love. So if you look at statistics, 50% of couple end up in divorce. That's a huge data. It is not because they don't like themselves. For you to have decided to marry someone, at least you got some level of likeness for the person. But because in the course of living together, they've not been able to manage or understand the skill set that are involved in communication with each other, they were not able to live together continually. And because they could not live together continually, 50% of marriages end up in divorce. That's a huge data. One of our aim is such a way that we could reduce that statistic to something lower. That's one of our aim. And that's the reason why I've come out to talk to you about communication in marriage. 25% of individuals live in unhappiness. Okay, they're just there. The man is not happy, the woman is not happy, but for one reason or the other, they don't want to step out. The man is just coping up. The woman is trying to stay, doesn't want to step out because of what society will say, or maybe because of economic problem. Most women will want to continue to stay because they think that if they step out, they won't be able to foot their bill. So because of that, they tend to stay even when they're not happy. That's why you see after a number of years, when they've been able to sort out their financial issues, you see that they are able to step out at that time because they no longer need the man for financial support. Okay, then you also see women stay because of their children, because the children are too tender at that time to be able to step out. Because if they do step out, they know that they may not be able to handle the children for whatever reason. So they stay behind. That's why you see people when they're in their 60s, in their 50s, they also step out because at that time the children are grown up. So you have 25% of the individual that are in marriages, but they are not happy. They are just there for one reason or the other. There is only 25% of individuals that are really living in happiness. Even these 25% of people that live in happiness, it doesn't mean they don't have conflict. They still have conflict, but because they've learned how to communicate their conflict such that it doesn't turn out to become a huge problem. Now, prayer is that you become among that 25% of individual that are trying to work it out. Now, you need to understand the mass word when we talk about the concept of communication. If you don't understand the mass word, it's going to be pretty difficult for the woman to be able to understand a lot of things. If the man does not understand the woman's word, it's going to be pretty difficult for the man to understand a lot of things when it comes to communication. So, number one thing is that men tend to talk less. That is a fact that have been reported in different books. Men tend to talk less. In fact, when men are burdened with a lot of issues, they tend to talk less. They are looking for a probable solution to the problem they have because they are trying to concentrate almost 90% of their strength, trying to find solution to the issues they are going through. They have barely 10% thereabout available for communication with anybody. So at that time, when men are talking less, it's something that the woman need to understand. Um, the man also need to understand that in the context of marriage, when you live with your wife is not like that. So we're going to talk about the woman's word later. So many tend to talk less, or they would rather talk to someone that can provide solution to them. So if they can't find anyone providing solution to them, they will just stay on their own trying to provide solution to the problem. That's how men are. So that's why when you're talking to a man, he's already thinking how to give you a solution. That's the word of the woman. So the point I want you to just understand from this discussion is to understand that the man tend to talk less compared to the woman folk. So let's talk about the woman's word. The woman receives a lot of strength when she talk about the problem. So you can see the reason why we got a lot of issues in our home, not because we hate ourselves. It is because we have two individuals that are opposite when it comes to communication. How do you marry these two facts? That you are living with a man or you're living with a woman, the man tend to talk less and the woman tend to talk more. So that's going to bring conflict. But as a man, you need to understand that a woman wants to talk. So we're going to talk about how do you communicate with a woman in the later part of this video. And again, as a woman, you need to understand that the man talks less. And in the later part of this video, I'm going to talk about how do you communicate with a man even when you tend to talk less. These facts are important because if you don't understand these facts, you start making a lot of meanings to a lot of things that should not really mean a lot of things. So we just end up The man is hoping that, why is the woman talking so much? Why is this disturbing me? I need to sort out a lot of issues on my head. These are there, problems are there. I need to sort out a lot of things. So when the woman comes around and is talking to you, it sounds boring. No, you need to understand, as part of communication as a man, and that time that your wife, your partner wants to talk with you, give her the time, because that's how she draws energy. That's how she becomes strong. So if you deny her that time to be able to have a chat with you, she's not going to be happy. She's not going to feel love. So as a man, you need to understand that this is a reality. Then as a woman, you also need to understand that men, they are not a great talker. So sometimes when they are not talking, it is not because they are bad persons. Because in the woman's words, when they are not talking to anybody, or let me put it in a different way, the only time the woman will not talk to people is when they are angry, is when they are not happy with issues. They withdraw that talking when they are not happy with issues. So you as a man, when you don't talk to your wife and you keep quiet, your wife is going to assume that you are angry with her. Every action you take at that time, they mean something to her. She's going to think that, excuse me, she's going to think that you are taking those actions because you are angry with her. So you will need to learn how to talk with your wife. One of the way I have learned to also handle these issues is to remember ahead of time and let my partner know that for the next 1 or 2 days, I may not be able to talk with you very well the way I used to, not because I'm angry with you, but because I'm trying to sort out some issues in my head. So that's one of the way I tend to communicate my thought ahead of time, so that your wife or your partner doesn't sees that you're quiet and then she reads a lot of meaning to your quietness. So you could tell her ahead of time that, please, I am going to be quiet for a short period, not because I'm angry with you, but because I'm trying to sort a lot of problems that are in my head. Please bear with me. They will usually understand. But if you don't do that and you just shut out, you just keep quiet, she's going to assume that you're angry with her. And anything you do at that time is going to be misinterpreted. They're going to read meaning to it to mean something. And once that happens, I can tell you that it's going to bring a lot of conflict. She will think that you are giving her this silent treatment. Not really you are, but that's how they will interpret it anyway. So that's why you must learn how to communicate with your wife. As a wife, you must learn how to communicate with your husband. Now, quickly, I would like to talk about the act of communication. We all know that life is all about talking. You could talk verbally or you could talk non-verbally. And it's been said that non-verbal communication carries up to 70 to 80% of our talk. So it is important that while you are talking, you're not only paying attention to your verbal talk, you're also paying attention to your non-verbal messages. For example, the way you smile, the way you put expression on your face, the excitement in you while you're talking, the reception, the approval, the nod you give while your partner is trying to talk to you. It's so important. It carries a message to your partner that you are part of that discussion. So the art of communication, it has some different part. One thing about communication, there is always a sender. There's always a talker. Somebody is talking and another person is receiving. So that's the basic art of communication. Somebody will have to talk and somebody will have to listen. Okay. If there is no one listening, there is no communication. So you must allow your partner to talk and then you listen. it is very important. There are two things that I really want to emphasize when it comes to the act of communication. The first thing is the medium, is the how you pass your message, because communication involves the sender, the medium, the content, the receiver, and the feedback from what you've said. So in the context of marriage, it is really important for us to talk about the issue of the medium. Most time, the reason why we can't communicate properly in our marriages is because of how we say what we are saying. That is so important. I used to work in Africa, specifically in Nigeria, and there's a way we used to communicate with patients over there. After coming abroad, specifically in Europe, United Kingdom, I've also come to understand that the way you communicate with patients, is not the same. For instance, I went to the canteen to get chicken and chips one of those days, and asked the attendee to give me chicken and chips. You know what she said? She said, please. And I said, give me chicken and chips, please. Say thank you. But I remember back in Nigeria, where I also order for chicken and chips. Just say, give me chicken and chips, and they'll just give it to me. And that's all. So different people will respond to you based on how you are communicating, because there is a concept of what we call filters. We all have filters in our brain. These filters are things that we have put into our mind over the years. So come in form of belief system, in form of value system, and in form of your standards. These are the filters that people have in their mind. So if you don't say something based on their value, based on their belief, based on their standard, whatever you are going to say, they are not going to accept it, because they will assume that you've not met up with their medium, how that thing should be said to them. And that's so important, that it's so important for us to understand. If not, you continually have conflict in your marriage. You need to understand your partner and understand how you need to communicate with him or her. If you don't do that, there's going to be a problem. Okay, does it mean that we don't have a place where we have to overlook, we do have to take everything seriously? Yes, we don't have to take everything seriously. Remember that you have the place of forgiveness, making excuses for your partner. Those are discussions from another video entirely. But what we are just trying to discuss here is learning the skill set required for you to communicate with your partner. Okay, so if you learn the skill set, you are going to reduce conflicts to the barest minimum. So we'll talk about medium, and that's going to be an emphasis in this discussion. So I'm going to talk about how you should communicate with a man and how you should communicate with a woman. It is important. Most time we communicate with people the way we want to be communicated with. If you do that, you're just going to communicate in a medium where the other person will not understand. Remember, I said they have filter. They're going to filter off whatever you are saying based on the fact that you have not met the way you should communicate with them. So the medium of communication is something very important. As part of this video, I'm going to discuss that. Another thing I want to talk about that usually is a major problem when it comes to communication is the act of listening. Most people do not talk such that they can be understood. Even those people that talk for them to be understood, a lot of people do not listen in communication. Listening just means trying to understand the point of view of the person. But oftentimes, we listen to respond. You are listening to the person so that you could respond to everything the person is saying. That is not the best way to listen. Sometimes we listen to individual words of the person without listening to the context of discussion of the person. So it's not enough for you to only listen to a statement and the person's communication and then you respond to that statement. But you have not been able to understand the concept of what the person is trying to pass across to you, the summary of the point. So if we learn to listen to the summary of what the person is trying to say and pay less attention to each line of statement, then we are actually listening to the person. And once we listen to the person properly, you are able to respond to the person. So two things that often cause a problem in our marriages in terms of communication is when we are not listening to each other, is when we are not trying to understand each other's point of view. Each person is trying to pass his own point of view, but we are not listening to it. So that's a problem, and it's going to lead to a lot of communication breakdown. Okay, so quickly, let me go and talk about how we can communicate. Remember, I talked to you as part of my discussion that the medium of communication is important to the woman, it's also important to the man. So the first thing I want to talk about is how do you communicate with your man even when you are angry? How do you communicate is important. Remember that you are in a relationship, and the relationship you are, there's a goal for that relationship, and it's for both of you to stay together and to avoid anything that will separate both parties. But if that is not your goal, I'm sorry, you're going to have, probably this video is not for you, because if you are not trying to work it out, this video will not work for you probably. Okay, so the point that I'm trying to make here is that this video is for people that really want to do something about their communication. So how do you talk to the man when you need to address issues? I have been able to put it together into 5 things that you must put in your perspective while you are talking to your man. Okay, so number 1 thing is that while you are talking to your man, try to avoid criticism as much as possible. I know it's not easy. I know you can't be avoiding criticism because he must have offended you. He did something that is very painful. But you must avoid criticism as much as possible. I read a book from the popular Dale Carnegie, one of the wonderful public speaker of century. And one of the principles he talked about when it comes to dealing with human is to avoid criticism. Avoid criticism and blame. Criticism just means that you are trying to tell the other person that it's your fault. You are to be blamed. You cause it. You are the reason why I'm like this. You are the one. You're throwing point at the person. Once you talk to your man and you're throwing criticism, the man is going to be defensive. But again, a man that understands the concept of communication will be less defensive and make an attempt to listen to the woman, even though the woman is being critical. But I must tell you that men doesn't really appreciate when their woman just criticizes them. They don't feel love so much by so doing. So one of the way to communicate to your man is to avoid criticism as much as possible. Something like, I need to talk to you, my husband. Um, there's this thing I'm not happy about, and I feel so bad about it. Um, I'm not saying that you're at fault. I'm not saying that you caused it, but this is what I observe, and I don't feel like about it. I think I should draw your attention to it. If it's something that you're doing intentionally, I will appreciate if you can work on it. But if it's something that you're doing by mistake, I understand that we're not perfect, but this is the way I feel, and I think I just felt I should communicate this with you. So the man understands that you are trying to express your feeling, that this is what you saw, and you're not very comfortable with it. It's different from saying that that thing I saw, you purposely did it because you wanted to get back at me. Once you use languages like that, that thing you did it purposely because you wanted to get back at me, the man feel critical immediately. And of course, the man might be guilty or the man might be innocent. But if the man is not guilty, at that time the man can feel so hot, so bad, especially where the man does not have any ulterior motive. So instead of communicating in a language such that it carries criticism or blame to your man, try and communicate how you feel about the situation. This is the way I feel. I am not criticizing you as a cause, but I saw this and this is the way I feel. Okay, so once you communicate that way, the man tends to understand. But once you blame the man or blame your partner, immediately it could go into defensive mode. But men that are really matured, they can be less defensive and just listen to their wife. Sometimes, once you listen to them, they are able to talk and talk. Remember, in the word of the woman, they talk a lot. So just allow them to express themselves. And once they express themselves, after some time, they feel better. And then you can talk about everything lightly. So that's number one. Number two, I would also encourage my friends, my fans, and my followers to let you understand that when you're talking to your man, you need to send a message of approval, send a message of appreciation, send a message of acceptance. You know, I also read a book, How to Win and Influence Friends. And one of the statements by Daley Seaman, one of the men that have one of the public speakers of the century, he said, you know, sometimes the people already know that they are at error. You don't need to throw it on their face that you are guilty as charged. You don't need to throw it on their face that you are to be blamed. You can give them a soft landing. Even if your partner, your husband, may be at fault over the problem, learn to talk in such a way that they feel your approval in the tone of your voice. They feel your approval of acceptance in the tone of your voice, so that they feel approval of appreciation of the efforts they try to put into life and get better. So something like, I know that I'm angry, but I still see you as my man, and I respect you for that. Even though I don't like this you did, I don't like this you did, but I can tell you that I also appreciate you so much that you're doing everything possible for us to be strong. You are doing everything possible for the house. You are doing everything possible for us to move forward. Accept it for who you are. I'm not trying to change you. I'm not trying to change you. I'm not trying to be someone that's trying to change you from what you have been. Accept it for who you are. But these are the issues, these are the issues, and these are the issues. So when you talk like this to your men, they may understand that, okay, you're trying to draw my attention to something, but yet you accept me as your husband. You accept me for who you are. You're giving me an approval for my personality. It's not like trying to talk to your man and you say, you did this, you're not good enough, you're not this, you are this, you are this, you are this, you are good for nothing. Look at your mates are getting better, but look at you, this is what you are doing. You're gradually just killing the man, and you're gradually pulling the man away from you. You know, oftentimes in the social media or all over the world, we just talk about how a man should love a woman, love a woman, love a woman, but nobody really talk about how a man should be loved. Yes. Nobody talk about how a man should be loved. Sometime in those days, I never really got to understand some of these things. But one thing common you hear from men is that run away from a nagging woman, run away from the nagging woman, run away from a nagging woman. Because men do not feel love if you talk them down. They feel love. Even in their mistake, you lift them up, even though you point their mistake to them. Even though you are pointing where you were hurt as a wife to the man, yet you are also making him to feel that I accept you as my husband. I accept you as a man over my children. I give you an approval that you are doing your best, and I appreciate that. Once you communicate in that way, the man is going to understand you better. Remember, I'm talking about the medium on how to communicate with your man. The medium is so important. It is not because of your husband. It is the word of the man. Men appreciate women that accept them as their hero. Men appreciate women that accept them as a man over their life. You know, the Bible said, submit to your man. This is not to bring the ideology of being authoritarian. But how we understand that Paul, that made that statement, will have had a lot of experience. So the point I'm trying to make here is that learn to communicate with your man, even when you had issues, even when you're angry, communicate your feelings to your man. Yet you are making statements that show approval. You are making statements that show acceptance. You are making statements that show appreciation to the man. Once you put those statements along with your discussion, the man will better understand you. I hope you're learning something. And number 3, this is so important. It is so important. If you are a man out there and you're feeling my discussion, I need you to put the comment. Or if you have a contrary opinion, why not? You could drop it and then we'll learn from each other. But these are the things I have found out in the course of my research. Now, you need to talk to your man in a way that he's still needed in your life. Yes. You know, men are motivated if they learn that they are needed in your life. But if you talk to a man such a way that I don't need you in my life, the man is going to drift away. You know, you've seen everywhere where ladies talk about, I don't need a man, 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 I don't need a man. They will never see anybody as the husband, because they're sending that message into the waves that they don't need a man. And because he was sending the message across that you don't need a man, no man is going to come. So men live in an environment where they are needed. Remember I said the purpose of this video is for individuals that are trying to work it out. Because if you are not trying to work it out, this video is probably not for you. But if you really, as a man, as a woman, you're trying to work it out in your marriage so that you can be among the 25% of people that live in happiness, you must learn how to talk to your man. It's such that the man feel needed. Did the man offend you? Yes. The man actually did offend you. But in attempt to communicate your feelings, you should communicate your feeling to the man in such a way that he can also feel in your tone of voice that I am still needed here. But if you start making statements that I don't need you, I can survive without you. Don't think that the money you are giving me, that's why you are doing this. Don't think that because you buy me this, that's why you are doing this. I can do without it. I didn't even ask you for it. I don't need anything concerning this thing. So once you do like that, the man starts hearing in your tone of voice that I don't need him. So once you pick those languages that I don't need him, you start drifting off. And I can tell you that apart from other reasons, this is one of the reasons a lot of men have side chicks everywhere. Because those side chicks, they communicate to the man that I need you here. I need you. Come to me. But sometimes not every wife in the home, they communicate in such a way that you are not needed here. So you should, as a wife, communicate to your man, or as a partner, communicate to your man that even though what you did is annoying, I can also assure you that I need you in my life. I know that you're not just doing it on purpose, but I know that you're doing it because probably you don't know, but I don't like it this way. But just understand that I still value you. I still respect you as a man in my life. So once you communicate such a way that the man feel that even though I'm at fault, but my wife has spoken such a way that I am needed in her life, they hear you better. All right, let me talk about the fourth point. Number 4 is that when you were talking to your men, sometimes you don't have to be the director of change on the man's life. Suddenly, you want to give all the advice from A, B to Z. One of the ways you must understand is that if you give a man unsolicited advice, he may never listen to you. It's not just for a woman, it's everyone. So as I'm here now, if I walk to my friends and I start giving them advice when they never ask for it, some men doesn't respond to it very well. Not everyone, but some individuals do not respond to that very well. So when you are talking to anyone, especially in the man's world, you must understand where man begin to ask for advice. And at that time, if you give it, the man appreciates you for it. Remember I said men tend to talk less. And when they talk less, it's because they are trying to find solution to the problem by themselves. That is when they talk less. The only time a lot of men start shouting and talking to people and talking to a lot of people is because they can no longer solve the problem. They can no longer provide solution. They've been overwhelmed by the problem. So because of that, they'll begin to talk about the problem to a lot of people. Did you get that? I'll be right back in a moment. Okay, just have to do some little refreshment. I'm back again. I am sure you're learning something. If you can really put this into practice, I am telling you, you're going to have less conflict in your marriage. Marriage, they say, is two imperfect people that are trying to work it out. In attempt for any of the partner in the marriage to say that you're perfect and he or she is a problem, then there's really a problem. Okay, so you must learn how to know when a man need an advice. So talking to a man with the aim of providing unsolicited advice. As you're talking, you're already advising from A to Z to the man. Sometimes can get some men offended. So you could put it this way, that I feel bad for this. I'm not saying that you purposely did it to me, and I'm not trying to advise you what you should do, but this is what I think, this is what I think, this is what I think, this is what I think. You are just throwing your suggestion. But you are not saying that this thing that happened, you must do it like this, do it like this, do it like this, do it like this. Until you do it like this, it's not going to work. So you're going to go into a gridlock with your partner or with your husband if you talk to your husband that way. So you must learn how to avoid unsolicited advice. Does it mean as a woman I should not advise my husband? No. So number one, you must know when the man is looking for the advice and then provide the advice. Number two, when you advise, quickly leave a statement that, please, I'm not saying that you must do it, but just my last couple suggestion, but it's left for you to take the final decision. Not trying to tell you what to do. I know you can handle a lot of things by yourself, but this is what I think about the situation. In that case, you have been able to pass your message, but you are also able to let your partner know that whatever I'm saying, you want to take decision. That's different from when you tell your man that this thing must be like this. If it's not like this, it's not like this. For men may not be happy about that. So the last one and on the list, which is something that is common, is when the woman tries to school teach the man when you are trying to talk to your husband. When you are trying to school teach him, you are teaching him, or you probably define it as one of your child, and then you are trying to teach him what to do, the way to do it, and how to do it. It can get some men unhappy. Does it mean that you should not talk to your man? You should. But again, we must realize that while you're talking, quickly just leave a statement that I'm saying this as my opinion. I'm not trying to teach you. You're a man of yourself. I assume that you know what to do. But in my opinion, I think this is this, this is this, this is this, this is this, this is this. So you could share your opinion, while also recognizing that as an individual, he has the final decision of what to do. But if you come to your man and you are teaching him that this is what you must do, the man will not sense love in you. The man will not understand why you are doing that. The man will not feel loved by his wife. Yes, that is the truth. Except you have a different opinion, you can drop it on the comment section. So lastly, before I round up this video, I need to talk about how to talk with your wife. Yes. So, all the men, where are you? Come and listen. I'm sure the women will be so excited to learn how they should be spoken with. That will take me almost 2 hours video because it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot to discuss. It's a whole lot to discuss with your wife. But I'll just make an attempt to summarize it. I will probably try and put another video together so that I can deal with each of the words, because men need to understand this. In fact, this is one of the reasons why conflict comes up anyway. It is when men talk to women but they don't put all this into their perspective while they are talking to the wife. That's where a problem crops up. So as a man, it is something important that you need to learn. Number one thing you need to learn as a man, when you communicate with your wife, such that your wife can feel. The word is feel. Women are almost synonymous with feelings. Women, especially for someone they are in an emotional relationship with, they are almost always synonymous with feelings. So that feelings in the context of marriage must be protected, must be handled very well. You remember in the Bible, Peter said, treat your wife as a weakened vessel. If you look at other version, it says, treat your wife with sensitivity, because women are sensitive, they are tender. Little things could mean a lot of them. Things that men could just throw away. They mean a lot to a woman. So if you are having conflicts with your wife, you need to start learning how to be more sensitive with her, how to be more tender with her. Yes. Another word that I'm sure Paul, being an apostle of revelation, he could only express a lot of things in that sense. The apostle said, love your wife as Christ loved the church. Love your wife as Christ loved the church. I've been married over 7 years. I'm going to 8 years. I understand this statement perfectly well. As a man, you need to love your wife as Christ loved the church. Love her not based on what she does. Love her not based on what she has done to you. But love her because you love her. Love her because you love her. Just like Christ loved the church. And Christ died for the church. Even in the mistake of the church today, Christ continually upholds the church. So that's the point I am trying to make. As a man, you must love your wife as Christ loved the church. But again, what do you mean by loving a wife? It means a lot of people to different people. You know the word love. Love your husband, love your wife, love your husband, love your wife. It means a lot to two different people. What is love to your wife? You must understand what your wife appreciates as her love language. So because of this, I said, if I need to talk about all this, it's going to give me 2-hour video to talk about everything. I'm just going to summarize some of the things you must do to your wife when you communicate with her. At any time you are talking to your wife must be able to feel compliment. She should feel compliment in the tone of your voice. Very important. When you talk to your wife, she should feel empathy in the tone of your voice. Yeah. You have to use words like, I can imagine what you're going through. That must be so difficult to go through. The woman immediately interprets that you could feel what she is feeling. You know, the error that most men do most time, they are trying to fix the woman. You can't fix her. The error that most men do most time, they want to provide solution to the woman, because in their world, they love to provide solution to each other. So once you live with a woman, you want to always give her solution. Sometimes what she needs is not solution. What she needs is compliment, reassurance. How safe is she feeling in your hand? How safe is she feeling in your hand? So you need to make statement or take actions that make her feel reassured that she got a future with you. She got a future in the marriage. Her goals are going to be done. Her dreams in life are going to be achieved. Once you talk to her in a way that she's continually assured, then she can hear you better when you talk. But if you talk to her in such a way that she can't find security in anything you do, she's almost always going to be drifting away from you. When you talk to a woman, you must talk in such a way that you are offering support, help, assistance at every time. She must be able to feel it that this man have the perception to be able to assist me in anything I want to do. Don't forget that you must validate her, appreciate her, admire her, adore her, and then accept her for who she is. And lastly, which most times the men want to run away from, is listening to your wife. You see, if you don't listen to your wife, she will speak to somebody else anyway. That is the reality. Today, I still wonder how the serpent was able to start talking to the woman on issues that they've been given clear instruction. Where was Adam? I'm sure Adam was busy. So as a man, you must learn how to listen to your wife and talk with her. Sometimes you don't have to say anything. Sometimes all you have to do is just listen to her point of view. And while you are listening, genuinely be involved in the listening. Genuinely make statements to show that you are understanding. Things like, yes, that's correct. Yes. Oh, was it what you discovered? I think I agree with you on that point. That makes a whole lot of sense. Thank you for that. And I learned something new today. So when you continually make such interlude to your wife while she's talking, she understands that you are listening to her. And over time, she gains her strength. I told you before, in the world of the woman, they like to talk about everything, just share their burden. And once they do that, they get better. Once a woman is no longer talking, just have an idea that there's a problem. But anyway, she must talk. She's going to talk to something. Yeah, she must talk. That's the way they are made. She's going to talk to something anyway. So make an attempt to create time where you can talk. This is the time of talking. This is the time of communication. This is the time we are looking at this. This is the time we are looking at that. So she'll be free to talk to you as a man. So just to recount again, because like I said, I'm just trying to pick the point on how you could communicate with your wife and make her fall in love with you. Anytime you are trying to talk to your wife, let words like thank you, compliment be part of your language. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you for this. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. Truly and sincerely complimenting her. Compliment is something that should be in your language. Number 2, you need to give her reassurance. Number 3, empathy. Number 4, you need to give her help, assistance, make her acknowledge her point of view, and then finally, you need to listen to her. I'm sure you've learned something from this video. I need your comments on the comment section and tell me what you've learned. We want to hear from you and be sure that this video has helped you. Subscribe to this channel. Scroll down to my other videos, and there are a lot of things you can learn about marriage. And congratulations, you're on the way to marital bliss. Again, Dr. Tony Kweki is my name. I am a medical doctor by profession, currently working in the UK. Thank you. Bye-bye. My wife and I, we love you. Bye-bye. All the best.